Very good. Okay. Well, good morning. First of all, I just want to say it's good to see everybody, and thank you, Anna, for the invitation. And it was so good to see you and the girls down here last week, and to get to spend some time with you guys, and to just what's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. It was really, really good just to hang out with you for a couple of days. And, it's, I know you also went out to see your mom and your dad. And then last week I got a surprise call from Bharat, who I believe, Bharat's not here with us. Good morning, Bharat. And Bharat had just flown in from Nepal today, went to his parents' house for breakfast and called me up and said, "Hey, I want to come see you." I said, "Okay, what date?" He said, "How about right now?" Hadn't slept or anything. And he got in the car and drove down here to Chichester, which was a couple hours for him, and then turned around and drove all the way back to York. But it was really good to spend time, with both of them. And we talked about a lot of things. We talked about John Flynn, coming up on a couple of years now, isn't it? It's been 2 years since John passed away. Anybody know the date?
Yes, sir.
I think it's today, Jeff.
2 years.
Is it today?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I knew it was right around this time. I just didn't know, what the exact date was. So, and listen, we still miss John, and he was a great leader, and certainly miss Roger. He was a great leader, and you guys have taken a couple of blows as far as leadership is concerned. And I want to thank Steve Jenkins for stepping up, and his willingness to kind of work with you guys and coach you guys. And I wanted to jump on here and just kind of get a little bit of an update. I know Steve's been taking you guys through a process that I've asked him to do for you. And Steve, could you maybe give me a little bit of an update on what you guys have been through so far?
Yes. So the first week, we kind of focused on goal planning, visualizing the future, and having a CCMP. And we had a good session on that. I had some very good text messages from people saying thanks, and I think it went well. And then the second week, we had Alan Palmer then come on and talk through how he runs a power hour, how he does form and sign, builds a top 25 list. And that was well received as well, I believe. And then the third week, we then concentrated on what we were saying during phone calls. We went through the mindset required to take on the rejection, to take on the daily grind of hitting the phones. I've invited them all to come on and just sit and watch and learn, or even partake in the power hour, which some have. And then last week we talked mindset again, about the strength of character you need to battle through when we're going through tough times. And I'm enjoying it. It's refreshing for me to actually do something outside of my hierarchy and support and help other parts of the company. But I guess the proof's in the pudding in terms of what they think. If I could be sat here thinking, yeah, it's going really, really well, but they might be sitting there, Jeff, going, actually, this is a heap of crap. I don't know. So maybe some feedback from these guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So I guess one of the questions I would have for you is, it's interesting if you guys roll the clock back over the past couple of years since we've been, in the pandemic and lockdown and everything else. We tried to supply, as much training as possible online. Rabbi Lapin, I think we had 13 or 14 Primerica speakers. Bill Arender has still opened up his calls to everybody. And, there's all kinds of resources that you guys now have available. I think one of the things that happened during the lockdown, and Roger was certainly a big part of this, was the cohesiveness and kind of the breaking down of the walls of, this is my hierarchy, this is my team. That obviously you still need that because it gives you your identity and certainly gives you, some cohesiveness within a team. But there's also been whether it's from Bevan or Daryl or, whatever leaders saying, hey, plug into my power hour, plug into my business overview, Barbara Anderson, plug into the company orientation. And the leaders that have been working together on the business overviews, on the orientations. And so I think that it's one of the challenges we always had, was that regionally, it was always very difficult to expand. If you were in London and you wanted to go build in Leeds or Sheffield or wherever, you pretty much had to physically go there. And it was quite a task to get that done. Now you can be in Sheffield and recruit somebody in Dorset or Cornwall or, where it doesn't matter. And so hopefully you guys have felt that support, and you guys certainly have all pulled together. I think, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad for not recognizing you, but I think especially, with your internal training, I think Sam Lee's done a fantastic job stepping up into that leadership position, as well as all of you. But the fact is that with Roger's death, there is that lack of maybe a central leader, if you will. Okay, and of course, Bharat has been gone for 3 months, and he's not really been in the game. And listen, that it's not saying anything bad about Bharat knows that. In fact, that's what he said to me. And what was so encouraging to me last week, and really 2 weeks ago when Anna was here, is that Anna's rolling up her sleeves. She's got a willingness. I call it, like Bob Senior used to call it, you got the want to, you always find the how to. And I saw that same gleam, that same star in Bharat's eyes last week when he was here, as I saw a couple of years ago when he was still in the Army and working Genestar part-time, and when he was going for 100+ recruits in his base, and when he was going for SVP. And he is just one tough guy. Bharat brought me what they call a kukri. Is that right, Bharat? Am I saying it right? Kukri.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And it's the knife. It's the knife. I'll have to go get it and show it to you. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's what it is. It's a weapon that they actually use in fighting. Hopefully, Bharat, I'll never have to use that. But it's the Gurkhas have always been known for being warriors. And one thing I have to say about the whole team is that you guys are all warriors. You guys are all have a mindset. And as I look at the training that Steve's already went through, I just have a couple of questions for you. Is number one, are you listening? Number two, are you doing? That was kind of what I was referencing to about the Rabbi Lapin teachings, the Primerica people. And I think what happened is we kind of got into this, people were almost spending more time going to the library. You all have seen that skit before about the guys that go to the library versus the guys that actually go out there and actually do something, okay? And if you're not careful, and one of the reasons I wanted to be on here today is that if you're not careful, we'll find some people will fall back into that. in that I'm learning, I'm getting everything set up. I don't know if you all have ever done this before, but you get to your office and before I start making calls, I'm gonna straighten my papers up, and then I'm gonna make a list, and then I'm gonna charge my phone, and I'm gonna back up my computer, and doing all this busy work that it seems like at the end of the day, when you really get a list out and you say, what did I actually accomplish? And you have to say, did I really use the daily disciplines that I was taught? So as an example, and Steve, I wrote these down that you said that you've already covered. Goals. So they talked about CCMP, and if you're not careful, you'll go, yeah, I've heard that. I've heard it. Okay. And it used to always amaze me that Bob Sr., I didn't have the advantage that Steve Jenkins had, or you guys are getting right now, in that Bob Sr. was 1,600 miles away. He was in Philadelphia. I was in St. Louis and Chicago area. And we would see him once a year, maybe twice a year if the company had a convention every other year. And so I'd catch these little flecks, these little pieces, and I'd watch a video of him. And then Lloyd, who was a great guy. I mean, you guys have met Lloyd. Okay, I mean, talk about a motivator. He's like the Pied Piper. Okay, the guy just is incredible. But Lloyd never really adopted Bob's system. I personally think if he had adopted Bob's system and encouraged his top leaders like me and the others, learn it, and then Lloyd focused on the motivational end, I think Lloyd would still be in Primerica and probably be the #1 guy and be earning 3-4 times what Mike Sharp is earning. But Lloyd was the motivator. He was, hey, just go recruit and go do it. Okay. Which was a lot like Art Williams. Art never really taught the system, but he allowed others to do it. And from day one, Steve Jenkins was recruited by Bob Sr. and was an incredible student, recorded everything, rode on a train every single Monday up to London, back to Reigate, where they both lived, and recorded it to copious notes. And in fact, I hope, Steve, you don't mind me saying this, he's actually putting together a whole teaching now, a whole book. He did a session on the roadmap to, what was it called, Steve? Not the roadmap, it's like the architect's plan.
Do you mean the Genostar success system?
There we go, Genostar success system, which originally was the Safford success system. Okay. And so for you guys to have Steve there, I'm not just selling him, but for you to have him there, guys, is a big deal. And if you're not careful, it becomes a little bit like a prophet's without honor in his own country, especially if you've been around for a while, you know who he is. And I would just really encourage you to do like I did when I got here. I knew Bob Sr. for 20 years, but I just said, I'm starting fresh. I'm gonna flush my mind. I'm starting like a new rep. And when I came to London, not to bore you with that story because you all have heard it, I just said, I'm gonna do exactly what Bob Sr. tells me to do. It's interesting because the first thing he said is what's your CCMP? And he said, Jeff, if you don't write your CCMP down and share it with me, let's not work together. Which might sound a little harsh, but he knew that there was only so much he could do to motivate me. Ultimately, motivation comes from within. And so what I was alluding to is that for years, Bob used to come into St. Louis and Chicago, the Midwest, and he would do a seminar. And every single time he would start off with this very thing about clear, concise mental picture. He'd do Millionaires University, and he'd talk about what's your CCMP? What is it that's got that fire burning in your belly? Is it that you want a new car, a new house, savings? You want to get out of debt? You want to help your church? What is it that really motivates you? What is the thing that pushes your hot button? And then he would ask a question. And he would say, would everybody here please stand up? And everybody would stand. He'd say, sit down if you've not written your clear, concise mental picture, and if you do not have pictures up of it. And literally, guys, 80% of the crowd would sit down. And the majority of these people had been there. I'd say at least 50% of them had been there the year before, and the year before that, the year before that. And then he asked a really interesting question. I was still standing at this point, and he said, would you please sit down if you do not read your goals and your CCMP at least once in the morning when you get up upon arising, and once before you go to sleep at night before you click out the lights. Guys, another 80% sat down. So there was somewhere between 5 to 10% of the total crowd, and we're talking a crowd maybe 5,000 people that actually stayed standing. So here it was, people that were seasoned veterans, many of them who had licenses, that were certainly equivalent to IFA levels, and yet they had not taken the very first step that Andrew Carnegie talks about. Is that the first step to go from poverty to riches is to have a clear, concise mental picture. And so the reason why I'm spending some time on this is because if we're not careful, we'll listen to the Rabbi Lappins, to the Primerica greats, we'll get inspired.
Hello, good morning. This is Operations Engineer here. I'm trying to get
Dumi, can you please mute your, thank you, okay? But if you're not careful, guys, you will end up going around in circles, and you'll find yourself a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, being in the same place, like being on a treadmill, okay? So I'm not gonna ask you to raise your hands. I could, but I'm not here to embarrass anybody. But the question is, do you have your CCMP? Have you written it down? Are you reading at least twice a day, once when you get up in the morning and once before you go to bed? And the reason for that is in the morning, it kind of sets your daily task. When you look at your daily disciplines, your daily list of whatever you want to call it, a to-do list, okay, it gives you a reason for doing it. And the reason for reading it before you go to bed at night, if you ever watched a good movie, or you got a problem that you're working on, and at night you dream about it, that's because your subconscious mind, we teach that at Millionaires University, your subconscious mind, the reticular activator, will go to work and help you to figure out how to do it. So I can talk to you about going and getting 3 yeses a day. It's always amazed me how that 40 years ago, when I first learned, stuff from Art Williams, guys, you're never going to believe what the business boiled down to is 3 yeses a day. Sometimes we just complicate it, okay? And so I'm kind of reviewing what Steve told me that he's went through with you. Steve, I'm assuming that you guys recorded those, right?
Yeah, I think Anna did, yeah.
Okay. So if you need a review of it, guys, again, Margot always tells me, she said, Jeff, listen, you can't force people to do what they don't want to do. And I think sometimes as a leader, what happens is that we want it more for people than what they wanted. And this is such a simple task to get a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper and write down what your clear, concise mental picture is, okay? And by the way, if you don't know what it is, ask your kids. I probably ask Sam Lee. I mean, Sam Lee will tell you his kids, man. I know Sam and Sam and Gilda probably wanted to choke me when I came over to their house several years ago and said, "Hey boys, you want to go to Disney World?" Yeah. And of course, every morning they're talking to Sam about it. And Sam was smart. He put posters up of Disney World, and that's what motivated them. And they ended up doing that along with a trip. I think it was to St. Lucia, or St. I know it was one of those tropical islands. Okay, where was it, Sam?
St. Vincent.
St. Vincent. Yeah, I knew you were a saint. I just didn't know which saint you were. So again, guys, I'm not going to try to beat you up about having the CCMP. Ultimately, it's your decision. Okay, you've got to decide what is it that really and truly motivates you. What is it that you want out of this? Okay, and I have a confession to you. Okay, back when I was broke 40 years ago, it was easy to come up with a CCMP because we had about 25,000 in debt. Now, Bob Senior used to always say, don't use it to get out of debt. But to me, that was my CCMP. I mean, I was driven to get out of debt. Once I found out I was paying 18 to 24% on credit cards, and I just felt so stupid. I said, I got to become debt free. And at the end of a year, we paid off all of our credit cards, our cars, and we've never been back in debt since for a mortgage, on properties. And so I would encourage you guys to really, really get serious about this and go back to the foundation of setting up what it is that you really want out of Genistar, okay? And having a CCMP. Go back and watch that video. We have loads of other material on that from Millionaires University. So the second step then, of course, was the Alan Palmer session. Now, guys, I got to tell you, Alan Palmer has got to be one of the most motivated people I've ever seen. Watching him in the kitchen when he was down here, a few weeks ago when we had them into the mansion next door, and just watching him in the kitchen cook. I mean, the guy he's just so focused. If you've never read the book called The Power of Focus, it's a great book. And when he goes for it, he reminds me a little bit of there's a scripture that says, when you put your hands to the plow, don't look back. Give it 110%. Man, that's Alan Palmer. We took them bowling, and it was interesting to watch how Alan attacks the ball in the bowling, okay? And I mean, he just whirls that thing down the lane, and that's just how he is. He's a let's get it done now, okay? No procrastination. Let's get it done now. The guy's driven, and he has a CCMP. He's got a supportive spouse, and he's focused on helping other people win. It looks like he will be the very first person since we announced just about six weeks ago when you guys were all in London, and we announced the new SVP guidelines that you didn't have to have any EVPs. You could have 1, 2, 3, it didn't matter. That if you go do 35 by 35 submitted, okay, 35 recruits in the hierarchy, 10 by 10 in the base minimum, that you'd go to SVP, which now they go from 110% contract to 115%. In addition to that, once the company starts hitting 250 by 250, and they do 35 by 35 in their hierarchy, again, minimum of 10 and 10 in the base. But the numbers don't matter anymore. I mean, guys, we just totally simplified that. We gave you guys a 110% contract instead of 100%. And we've got, again, so many good things happening. Mark was telling me today, showing up on the board are 268 recruits, but there's another 60, write that number down, 60 recruits that were submitted over the weekend. Guys, okay? And we were struggling to do that in a month just a few months ago. So momentum is back. You can feel it. It's there. And you guys, are just coming out of the train station, okay? And you can feel the momentum there. But again, Alan Palmer teaching you what to do at the top 25 list, form, sign, all that. Well, hopefully you're doing that. And if you're not confident, then travel double with some other people that are. Don't ever be ashamed to go, well, I'm an EVP, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, listen, guys, it's Art Williams used to say it takes you about 2 years to become a real vice president. Just because, once you get promoted, you go do your 10 by 10, 2 months in a row. We know that you don't know everything yet. So never be ashamed of going back to the basics, traveling double with somebody on a recruiting interview, on a scoop, a carryback, whatever it might be. I actually said to Anna a couple of weeks ago, I said, Anna, listen, here's how to get started. Top 25 list, okay? And then if I hope Steve doesn't get mad at me about this, but I said to Anna, Anna, take Steve out with you online on a couple of your prospects. He's going to ask you to split the business, okay? And, because he doesn't work for free. But boy, guys, that I'm telling you, that's a cheap university, it's a very inexpensive thing to learn from a pro. Used to be years ago, those of you that were around, a new recruit came in, you couldn't split business with them. They didn't get 12.5%. They got nothing on the first couple until they went and got licensed. And then I said, Anna, if you're still not confident, get with some of your top EVPs that are efficient and know the scoop and know the carryback and learn it from the basics. See, guys, that's what I would do if I was a brand new rep. If I was starting out today as either a new EVP or an EVP that's been around for a while or a new rep, I would be thinking to myself, what would I do? Honestly, if it was me, if I was starting out today, I'd get a top 25 list. And Steve Jenkins, I know this sounds insane because I've been doing this for over 40 years, but see, if you asked me to do a scoop and a carryback right now, I wouldn't know what to do. And so I would say to Steve, treat me like a brand new person. We'll split the business. I'm there to take notes. I'll ask questions afterwards. Steve, do the same thing with a recruit. I just want to sit in on a couple of recruiting interviews. And by the way, that's what I did when I came to London 19 years ago, as I sat in on interviews with Bob Sr. Okay. So I wasn't too proud to relearn the system, go back to the roots, back to the foundation. So again, great that you got the CCMP down, but are you actually following the system? It's easy to get into bad habits. And the time to correct this, guys, is now. While, I was thinking the other day, and I said this to Anna, I hope I don't tear up on this, but when Anna and her daughters were here, we were having breakfast Sunday, and I put my arm around Anna and I said, Anna, I said, I could just feel Roger sitting here on my shoulder saying, thanks for looking after my girls. See, guys, if we really want to honor Roger and we really want to honor John, we'll get our butts in gear. Now, the CCMP, probably maybe one of those should be, I want to, and by the way, Anna has not asked me to say this. If I was one of Anna or John's EVPs, which all of you guys are, in that Eileen still continues to receive an income. And guys, that income has went down drastically, just like yours, because Eileen's income, Anna's income will be in direct proportion to what your income is. In fact, only a very small sliver of that. If you're a first generation to the Davises, then they make 7.5%. You make 110%. Okay, so they get a very small sliver. If you make 1,000 pounds, they would make about 65 pounds. Okay, so if you really, it reminds me of a scripture that says, "Show me your faith, I'll show you my works." And I know that for me, one of the things that motivates me is to help you guys to get your numbers up so that Anna's income is up and that Eileen's income is up. Boy, guys, I don't know what you believe about heaven, but if Papa John and Roger are looking down on us right now, I think what they'd be saying to us is, hey, guys, you can do it. I believe in you. And then lastly is the power hour. I don't know how many of you have been availing yourselves of Steve's invitation to come to the Power Hour. Again, we've got other leaders. I know Bevan, Daryl, several others. I don't want to leave anybody out in the company. But literally, guys, the whole company, all the SVPs, all the EVPs have all just opened up their arms here because they realized that there was, the death of both two great leaders is a great loss. But ultimately, you've got to decide to go do it and to go do something. It goes back to these 3 yeses a day, the daily disciplines. Margot and I were over in Cardiff Friday for a get together with Arvin with the Eagles hierarchy, and the Filipinos are all making a real comeback. I mean, it devastated them. They're a very social group, and they had a whole program. They're getting together now once a quarter as a hierarchy. I know, Steve, I know you couldn't make it because you had COVID. Steve was thinking about coming, and I said, I don't want to be around you if you've got COVID, But it's interesting to just kind of to see the momentum building again. And it was great to be around that group. And as Margot and I were checking out of the hotel on Saturday morning, I prospected the manager of the hotel. And we stopped on our way back. We didn't drive all the way back. We stopped on the south coast in Weymouth. And I prospected the manager of the hotel. So, guys, it's still built into my DNA to still prospect, to still ask, who do you know that might be interested in a career change? We're expanding across the country. It was interesting, both managers both said, well, I might be interested, but if I'm not, I certainly would be open to help you find somebody. I might have some friends, some mates that might be. So the question is are you focused on keeping the main thing? Are you getting 3 yeses a day? Hey, listen, guys, you can tell me you are, you can tell me you've got your CCMP, you can tell me you've been to the Power Hour, you can tell me that, you're following Alan Palmer's top 25 list and all the scripts in the workbook, okay? But bottom line is that at the end of the day, when you look yourself in the mirror, that's who you really have to be accountable to. And as I looked around that room on Friday evening with Arvin and his team and many of them brought their children with them, and I thought, this is the reason that we built Genistar, was to help families to go become financially independent. And honestly, guys, I've never been more confident about where the company is going. I think we all had a wobble when John passed away. We all had a big wobble when Roger passed away. And please don't take this wrong, anybody, okay? But me, I just kind of call it like it is, okay? Roger's gone. And I can understand why Anna and the girls would still be in mourning. But ultimately, guys, I mean, my confidence in our business was not in Roger Davis. My confidence in Genistar was not in John Flynn. And I mean this in the right way. I hope that your confidence is not in Jeff Letts, because we have a plan in place that if you got a phone call this afternoon saying, really sad, guys, unbelievable, but Jeff passed away. Now, I hope that doesn't happen, but guess what? I'm mortal just like all of you are. And things happen in life. And I know that when I saw that determination of a warrior in Barat last week, and that determination of a warrior in Anna a couple weeks ago, I thought, man, I mean, who am I to be bereaved? I mean, yes, I'm sad, but ultimately, guys, I made a commitment to Roger and I made a commitment to John Flynn that we would make Genistar a success. Here's kind of an interesting question for you. You might even want to write it down. What is it that keeps Jeff Letts motivated? Because guys, I don't need Genistar. Okay, you know, 40 years ago, I needed A.L. Williams. I didn't have, I didn't have any money, had very little savings. You guys have all read my story if you've read my book, Against All Odds. So I was very motivated to become financially independent. Today, Margot and I are both 65 years old. We've got several million in savings and property and a six-figure income without Genistar. So I don't need Genistar. So what is it that gets Jeff Letts up in the morning and says, man, I'm excited about being on a 9:15 call with this team right here. I want to tell you what it is. Number one, it's called being faithful. I'm giving you loads of scriptures today, but I know that you all will know the scripture. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Probably not a real popular word to use these days, okay, about faithfulness. The other thing is, guys, is I want to leave a legacy behind. Again, as I looked around that room with Arvin and his team, and I thought, I saw lots of the kids that, Dolly Bright's son, Daniel, who's about that big now. When I met him, he was, about, 2 foot tall. And I thought, this is the future. We're not just building this just for Jeff and Margot, because Jeff and Margot, we don't have any children, but you guys are like my kids. And those of you that, are some of you guys, Alex, I don't know, Alex might be young enough to be my grandchild, or I don't think he is, but the point, guys, is that what motivates me is to see all of you prosper, to see you guys go on to do great things. And listen, I know that the commission business is a tough business. It is. It's not like having a job. It's not like having a salary. It's not like somebody bossing you around and saying, hey, move that from there over to there and that from over to there and do this and do that. And here's a list of 10 things and come back and see me when you're done. And I'll give you another list. If you're not self-motivated, then ultimately, somebody won't make it in our business. One of the reasons, and again, this used to always amaze me, why is it that some people make more money, make more progress in the business when they're part-time than when they're full-time? And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because they have that job that gives them structure, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever it might be. And then that it's 2 evenings a week or 3 evenings a week and a Saturday, and that's all that you can do. And the reason that Alan Palmer is doing so well, guys, is he treats Genistar just like he did back when he was working as a chef. He's got that same daily discipline. Now, does he take the kids to school and do the school run? Yeah, he does all that. But he's got that same focus, just like he was working a 40 or 50, in his case, 60 or 70 hours a week, okay? And here's the beauty of it. Guys, you don't have to do it forever. If you go get focused, I mean, truly focused for 18 months, okay? I mean, I'm just telling you, that's what builds your business, is that focus. So I was thinking about this today, about Roger and about who our belief is in. I don't know how many of you know this, but there's a lot of stuff going on right now with Hillsong. And I'm part of Hillsong, proud to be part of Hillsong. And recently our global senior pastor, Brian Houston, resigned as the pastor. Not because of a moral failing or anything else, but even if it was, and I don't mean to be glib, but even if it was, guess what? He's human. I think it's called Let Him That's Without Sin Cast the First Stone. And it's interesting to see the reaction of different people. I mean, I know some people that literally, guys, I mean, it's like weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. They're like, oh my God, Brian failed me and I just can't trust God anymore. And I just can't believe that he was drinking too much and, I can't believe he made all these mistakes. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is new people who say, Brian who? And then you've got people that are sort of in the middle. Anna and I were talking about this because she goes to Hillsong. And here was our attitude is, you know, men fail, women fail, but God doesn't fail. And my faith was never in Brian Houston. It was never in Gary Clark. It was never, I love the guys. I love their leadership, just like I love John Maxwell. But guys, my faith is not in man. My faith is in God. Now, I love having mentors. I love having leaders. But I want to go back to John and Roger because my faith and my steadfastness in the business was never in Art Williams. It was never in Bob Safford Sr., who passed away a few years ago. My steadfastness was never in Lloyd Tomer, who retired. Now, I got to admit, I had a bit of a wobble because I didn't have that leadership gap filled for a while. And then Bob Sr., I allowed him to step into that. And then my business started to take off again. And so my attitude about it is that, you know, I'm talking about the Hillsong thing, is that, you know, you never cover up something that someone, if they've done wrong. But the fact is, guys, is that all of us have, you know, all of us are human. All of us mess up. All of us screw up. I've oftentimes thought, wouldn't it be cool reporters that hop on all these things that people do? Wouldn't it be cool to kind of hire an investigator to see what's wrong in the reporter's life? Because everybody has problems. Everybody has challenges. Everybody is screwed up in life. All of us have said things that we shouldn't have said. All of us have done things or certainly thought things that we shouldn't have thought or did. Why? Because we're human. And so I want to bring that back to this situation, in that my faith never was in the future of the business, never was based on the fact that John or Roger or any of the founders or any person. And you know, listen, guys, I love Steve Jenkins like he's my younger brother. But if Steve passed away, I would tell you what I would do. I'd hold an emergency meeting and I would see, this is after we went through some mourning, okay? I'd see who wanted to step up and who wants to be a leader. And you know what? That's exactly what Steve would want. It's exactly what Roger would have wanted, exactly what John would have wanted. Sure, listen, guys, I've shed tears over these two great leaders. And I can understand why Anna and the girls, especially, because that they lived with him. That was their husband, that was their dad, that was their leader of the household. Okay. But ultimately, guys, in our business, which is what I'm talking to you about, you've got to make a decision. And the decision, like the Hillsong situation, is, you know, Roger who, because new people coming in, they don't know who he is. John who, they don't know who John is. On the other hand, I'm devastated over here and I can never do this because they were my rock in the business. Well, maybe it's a good time for us to just kind of take a look at ourselves and go back to the roots, to go back to the CCMP, and that I'm here to deliver for my family. You know, I remember when Art Williams, if you've never read the book Coach, it's kind of a sad story because Art got kicked out of Citigroup. Now, you know, personally, I think he deserved it for what he did, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But the fact is, guys, is that I could have looked at that and said, oh my gosh, Art's gone, our leader is gone, but the opportunity was still there. When Lloyd Tomer retired, I could have looked at that and said, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, I don't have a leader anymore. Or when Bob Sr. died, I don't have a leader anymore. But the fact is that I had to look in the mirror and say, Jeff Letts, you are the leader. It's up, if it is to be, it's up to me. And so I really just wanted to say to you guys this, okay? I believe that the massive attack, that the Flynnstars, that every one of you have got incredible potential. And it's time right now. Guys, this is not a sales pitch, okay? There's never been a time in our business in the last year, 2 years, okay, other than maybe when the pandemic first hit, we saw this incredible doubling in the business. I believe that's where we're back to now. You say, Jeff, not everything's working right. I understand, we're working on that. We're human, okay? We're hiring new people. We've got incredible things happening behind the scenes that I'm not even going to talk about until we can deliver it. Okay. I know that's been one of my points is to talk about things too early. And then when it doesn't happen, people go, oh, there's just another program that's not going to work. Okay. So what we're trying to do is to get everything cleaned up. But I do know this. I know that you can go make a living. You can go make 1,000 a week, 2,000 a week. And we've got people like Linda Berry, I'll probably mess up her surname, okay, Adejoke, that has already recruited 19 personal, not base shop, 19 personal. And I spoke to her last Friday and she said, I'm glad that I broke Lelane's record, of 17 recruits. But she said, Jeff, I'm going for 25. See, if every one of you could get that kind of a mentality and just go get 1 month, and just go get speed width. See, that's what I did when I first got here. For 5 weeks, I got 10 people a day that I spoke to. You know the story, 10 pennies a day. But it went back to the CCMP. So Steve, Anna, I probably said more than maybe what you want me to say. Maybe I haven't left enough time to do any additional training. I'm glad to open it up for questions or whatever it might be. But I just wanted you guys to know that, listen, I'm here. I'm here to come on however much that you guys need me. Now, we got loads of stuff happening behind the scenes with Vitality. The convention is coming up. Guys, you want to be there at the convention, okay? We're going to be launching some things with Vitality. They're going to blow your mind on PMI, group PMI, income protection, okay? We're putting things together where every single rep will be able to go get licensed in the life, the sick, the PMI, the income protection, not just EVPs, okay? We're working behind the scenes on getting things straightened out on the wills and, B and C, I think is straightened out. I think that one's working properly. And so I want to encourage you guys that if there's ever a time to build, right now is the time to do it. But it's time to kind of go from the classroom, from the theoretical to putting it into practice. And really what we need right now is we need all of you. We need all of the Flynnstars, all of the Team Massive Attack, okay, to really step up and to kind of flex your muscles. Because you guys know what to do. Now it's just a matter of going and doing it. Steve, Anna, back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. That was I've got 25 pages of notes here. No, it's very, very inspirational there, very heartfelt and very raw. And that's when you're at your best, Jeff, when you're saying it from the heart. For what it's worth, what I would just like to add that as Jeff was talking, one of the things that came to mind was the question that I think it was IT and Kaz kind of asked, I think it was last week. They said, well, we know what we got to do. So what is it that's going to cause us to do it? And it really is very simple, almost childlike, sitting down with yourself, booking an appointment, turning up, and just writing out what your CCMP is. So that when you're in those key clutch moments, when you don't feel like making a call, when you don't feel like showing up, those goals and dreams are staring at you, and all of a sudden you do it anyway. And it really does boil down to that. So it's up to you guys to make a decision on what your CCMPs are. I mean, not having a CCMP is having a CCMP, really. It's a CCMP of 0. It's nothing. And guess what happens? You get nothing. But if you actually got a picture of something that really inspires you to do something and gets you working on it in the evenings with your subconscious when you're asleep, it becomes an amazing journey. It's a fantastic experience because you've all achieved something. So you know what it feels like to have that wonderful feeling. And you also now know how to get that feeling back and keep that feeling going. So I don't know if Anna wants to add anything, but that's just my summary.
Well, I don't think there's anything really I can add to that apart from we're the students and we have to go and do this. We've had almost like the father and the son telling us what it is. And I think
Now we got you on here. Now we got the Holy Spirit.
yeah, well, yeah, there's nothing more I can say, I don't think, but thank you. And I think we just need to go and be brave, because I think that that place that has been spoken into this morning just speaks right into the very core of who we are. And you know, that place of courage and bravery, and go and do what we've had laid before us.
Anna, can I tell you what I'd like to ask Bharat? I think this would be a great place, you know, because you and Roger and Anna are the ones that really took over, you know, John's code. You're an SVP. You're the only one in the company that ever went and did 100 recruits in 1 month. And I just think that you're in such a good place right now. And just wondering what your thoughts are.
Well, I think you know, this is my life. Zenista is my life, to be honest. I've already committed, and I have, you know, I said to people that the next 10 years is the only vehicle I can ride on to Zenista. So that adds up to me 16 years. And I have got more confidence in Zenista than myself. So that's what I'm looking into it. Just been away for 3 months, not because I wanted to, because I have to. I had no choice at the time. It was a bit of shaky, bit of personal turbulences, but I'm back in UK, back in the business. I think we are, especially Flynnstars Hierarchy, we are in a great place. We just bit of wobbled, but I think I'm 100% confident that we can really take into where the you know, the highest, what's it called, the maximum, you know, the period was you know, in the COVID, and recruiting was up, business was up, and I'm pretty glad that the Flynnstars Hierarchy is getting there. But particularly this moment, what I'm thinking is that, you know, I'm in such a place where, you know, I never thought about 5 years ago. Flynnstars, I know that the bit of income is going down, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm confident that it will go up in few months' time, and few years' time we'll be rocking. That's what I can see. Especially EVPs, we have got so much potential, so much facilities, so much, you know, I think Zenista is made for us, especially those people who are seriously thinking about going full time and going really deep into to what you call the, you know, achieve our goals. You know, I'm there to achieve my goals. I'm there to achieve my family's goals. I'm there to achieve our Flynnstars goal. So I think Anna is you know, really progressive, and thank you for that, taking a lead for the last 5, you know, nearly 4 months. And I'm here really taking a lead onto this, and I really would like to more focus on the leadership side, more focus on the business side, more focus on the recruiting side, and everything is, you know, back in track. I think there's nothing to worry about, nothing to you know, I know it's the self-motivation. Jeff, CEO, mentioned that self-motivation is the key for us. No one to look, you know, really, you know, nobody's telling us what to do, but we have to tell ourselves what to do. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment, sir. Thank you very much. Again, I wanted to really see you because after being long time away in Nepal, you know, in where the internet was not right, not good, where I had got personal issues there, but I was still thinking my team. I was still, you know, just where possible wanted to join in the meetings, and then wanted to know that what's going on. Sadly, you know, I just you know, missed my you know, partner's greatest friend. You know, after John Flynn, Roger is really was getting closer, getting together. You know, was not only a friendship side, but it was like a, you know, the best mate ever. Same like Sam, Kevin O'Malley, and rest is you know, the Alex, even a younger EVP like Alex. You know, we were like brothers. So I think being in Genistar, I never thought the band of brothers is even greater than in what was in the army. So I'm just really excited, really happy that I'm in the right you know, positions and right in the right business where I can make friends forever. So that's what I'm thinking. And thank you, sir, for providing this platform. Thank you, everyone, just understanding me, understanding as a colleagues, as a partners, as a business partner. Thank you, sir. Back to you.
Hey, Anna, I was just thinking, you know, I put something out there for the EVPs, anybody that gets to SVP, that we're going to host them down here in Chichester for a couple of days at the house next door to us. And I'm just thinking, I'm just wondering, and you guys won't make me feel bad if you don't want to do it, but I would be happy if, you know, again, to give you guys a secondary CCMP other than a personal CCMP, but something that could pull the team together, is if we could do 35 by 35, that's collectively. And any base shop that does 5 by 5. Now, you've got, how many total EVPs are there in the hierarchy?
We have got 17, 16 AVPs, not excluding a couple of AVPs just gone down, so.
Yeah. So how many EVPs? 16?
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. So what I would be willing to do is to say anybody that does a 5 by 5 base shop, in fact, let me just run some numbers here real quick. I don't want to make it too easy, but I also, if you got 16 EVPs, you know, I mean, please don't tell anybody else I'm doing this, but if you guys could do 35 by 35, that's the Flynnstars, which obviously encompasses, you know, Massive Attack, and anybody that goes and does 3 by 3, okay, because that's a good start. It's not where you want to be, but, you know, I know like Bharat right now, you're just kind of getting your base shop going again. And so this would be for April, May, or June. So Anna, what I'm thinking is the whole hierarchy. So that includes Sam and Kevin and your base shop, okay, Milan, all the EVPs within your team. Doesn't matter where they're at generationally. You guys go do 35 by 35, but a minimum of 3 by 3 in your base, each base shop, so that somebody that doesn't do anything, they're not going to ride on the coattails of everybody else. And we'll host you guys here for a couple of nights and, you know, a couple of days here at Chichester. And I think it'd be great to just to have a get together, you know, But I think what it might do, Anna and Bharat, is it might really pull the team together, because then the individual responsibility falls within each base shop. But, you know, if you guys have 16 EVPs and each base just does 3x3, you're at 48x48. I also understand some of the EVPs aren't going to do much, some will do more. Okay. So collectively 35x35, that's in the entire Flynnstars hierarchy, minimum 3x3, get it done in April, May, or June, any 1 month. And Margot and I will host the leaders down here. And if we have all 16 people that win, then we'll, you know, we don't have 16 rooms next door, but we'll rent another place, you know, and host you guys for a few days down here in Chichester. So what, Anna, what do you think of that?
Great, it's a challenge. Let's take it up.
Yeah, yeah. Sam said submitted or activated. You know, I'm happy to go with submitted at this point, just in order to help you guys get the momentum going. Obviously, any IBAs that are refunded don't count. And, you know, you still have the persistency and all the other things that we still have to include in there. But, you know, I'm happy to go with submitted, because you can control that. You can't totally control the activated. So all the other hierarchies have to do it base and first, and it has to be activated. Okay. But I just feel, you know, you guys you need something that could help inspire you and help also hold everybody accountable, but also give you, you say, kind of a second thing on your list of CCMPs to really pull everybody together. It'd be fun having everybody together.
Right.
So,
Thanks so much.
Steve, please don't tell anybody else I'm doing that.
All right, I won't.
Uh,
What was it you were talking about? I can't remember now.
yeah, that's right. All right. Well, Anna, Bharat, Steve, I hope today has helped, as well as all the EVPs on here. And, you know, again, listen, guys, I want you to know, I'm just going to kind of go down through the list here. Alex, got Alex, Balkrishna, Bharat, Bim, Kaz, Kevin, Milan, Naren, Ramesh, Sam, and Tom. Just want you guys all to know, man, I have 110% belief in you. That's also the EVP contract. But I just want you guys to know that we got a great future ahead of us. I'm more confident about that than ever. Let's just, as Art says on his video, let's just go do it.
Beautiful.
All right. Anna, anything else?
No, I think that's all to be said. Thank you so much for the inspiration, the motivation, and you know, just get that courage, allow it to rise up, and yeah, let's go and do it.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic week. You got 3 more days to wrap this month up. Now's the time to get momentum. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.